My siblings excluded me from their weddings, so I decided to return the favor and exclude them from mine. I never expected things to end up this way with my siblings. Here I am questioning if I took things too far, but at the same time, I wonder if I was finally standing up for myself. I'm the youngest of three siblings, and while we didn't have the closest relationship growing up, I always thought it was normal sibling dynamics. Sure, we fought a lot, had our moments of jealousy and frustration, but at the end of the day, I always assumed that's what family was about, arguing and making up, but always having each other's backs. Or at least that's what I thought. That belief shattered a few years ago when my older brother got married. I was excited when he announced his engagement. It was a big deal for him. He had been with his fiancée for years, and they had a solid relationship. Of course, when he told me, I assumed that being his brother, I'd definitely be invited to the wedding. I was ready to help with any planning, offer my support, and maybe even give a little speech at the reception. But as the wedding approached, I noticed something strange. The invitations went out, and mine never came. At first, I assumed it was just an oversight. Maybe they were busy, maybe the invitation got lost in the mail, so I let it slide. But when I didn't hear anything for weeks, I decided to ask him about it. I tried to keep it casual, just saying, "Hey, I'm really excited for your wedding. Let me know if there's anything I can help with." His response completely blindsided me. "We're keeping it small, and we want to avoid any drama. I don't think it would be appropriate for you to attend." I was floored. What did he mean by drama? We hadn't had a major falling out or anything like that. Sure, we had some disagreements over the years, but nothing that seemed worth excluding me from such a huge family event. But I didn't want to make a scene, so I held it in and just told him I understood. But inside, I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I thought, how could he not want me there? I'm his brother. Family is supposed to be important. I tried to let it go, but it kept eating at me. Then the wedding day came, and I saw pictures of the ceremony on social media. I saw all our extended family there, everyone except me. That was when the reality hit. I wasn't part of this important day for him, and I had no idea why. I was hurt, and it lingered for a long time, but I tried to push the feelings down and move on. Then, a couple of years later, my sister got engaged. She was always more involved in my life than my brother, and we had a better relationship overall. She even made an effort to reach out and check on me from time to time, so I thought maybe, just maybe, this time things would be different. I assumed she would want me there after all. We'd had some decent bonding over the years. But again, when she sent out the invitations, I never received one. At first, I thought maybe they hadn't gotten around to sending it to me yet. So I casually asked her about the wedding plans, thinking that maybe I could help with some small details or offer my support. But when she responded, I was hit with the same line, "We're keeping it small, and we just don't think it's the right fit for you to attend." At this point, I couldn't ignore the obvious pattern. I had been excluded from both of their weddings, and I was starting to feel like I was being intentionally cut out of their lives. I decided to confront my sister directly and asked her why I was being left out. Her response was the same as my brother's. "It's not personal, it's just how things are." But the more she said it, the more I realized how personal it felt to me. The way she said it felt dismissive, like my presence wasn't important enough for their special day. I spent months trying to process how I felt about all of this, but deep down I couldn't shake the feeling of being rejected by my own family. I began to wonder if I was just being overly sensitive, but the more I thought about it, the more it became clear that my siblings didn't seem to value me or our relationship the way I had always assumed. They were okay with leaving me out in a way that felt intentional, and it hurt more than I could express. Then it was my turn. I had been in a long-term relationship with my partner, and after years of planning, we finally got engaged. As we started discussing the wedding, I was both excited and anxious. I wanted to make it the best day of our lives, but at the same time, I was dealing with the weight of everything my siblings had done. They assumed, without a second thought, that they would be invited to our wedding. They started texting me, excitedly asking about details, trying to act like everything was normal. But at that moment, something inside me snapped. If they couldn't even bother to include me in their weddings, why should I go out of my way to invite them to mine? After everything, I wasn't sure I even wanted them there. So I made a decision that felt like it was a long time coming. I didn't invite them. When I sent out the invitations, I made sure that their names were not on the list. I didn't tell them in advance, and I didn't feel the need to justify my decision to anyone. I figured they would find out eventually. Of course, they did. My brother was the first to call me, and he was absolutely furious. "Are you seriously not inviting us to your wedding? We're family," he yelled. My sister followed suit, calling me immature and petty, accusing me of holding a grudge. She couldn't believe I would do this, and she started to cry, telling me how hurt she was by my actions. I calmly explained to both of them that they hadn't invited me to their weddings, and because of that, I couldn't justify inviting them to mine. It wasn't about revenge, it was about respect. If they couldn't show me the same respect, why should I pretend to feel okay with them being part of my big day? They didn't like that response and started accusing me of destroying the family. My brother even brought our mom into it, trying to guilt trip me into changing my mind. My mom called me afterward, begging me to reconsider. She said weddings were about family, bringing people together, and that I was being selfish by not inviting them. But where was that same energy when I was excluded from their weddings? Where was that support when I was the one left out? I told her that I had made my decision and I wasn't changing my mind. This wasn't about being petty. It was about protecting my own well-being and standing up for myself. The wedding went on without them, and it was the most beautiful day of my life, surrounded by people who genuinely cared for us. I didn't feel any void or loss. The day was perfect, and I realized that sometimes family doesn't always mean unconditional love or support. It's about being with the people who lift you up, not those who tear you down. In the end, my siblings and I are still not speaking. The rift in our family is undeniable, and it's unlikely to heal anytime soon. But after everything that's happened, I don't feel any regret. I protected myself, and I refused to let their actions define me. My wedding was my moment, and I made it clear that I wasn't going to let anyone walk all over me ever again.